Hey guys, quick message before we start the video. We're gonna be doing a giveaway. The prize will be 2 prizes, 2 winners. It's gonna be a brand new Hypertherm Power Max 45 XP and a brand new Miller 215 Multimatic. The only requirement is that you are subscribed to this channel. There's no purchase necessary. About 80% of you are not subscribed that watch my videos, so hit that subscribe button. Maybe you'll win something. All right, let's get to it. Enjoy the video. Hey guys, welcome back. So what in the world would the post office need line board? Well, this package parcel dumping machine, basically it sits like this on a floor. They drive in with a box, a pallet jack, a forklift, whatever. They dump boxes in there. And then there's a conveyor belt that is like right here. And that thing tips over and dumps them on the conveyor belt. And then they get sorted out. So the problem is right there. You can see there's a pretty large gap. And typically you can't do something like that. So that's the problem. Both sides. I have a couple ideas on how I want to fix it, but I want to get it in the shop, pull the pins out, and then go from there. Of course, there's a bunch of stuff in the way. And this trailer is blocking that door, so I have to come in through this door. I gotta take all these tables out of the way. That's fine. My kayak, something's kind of cool. I modified this trolling motor and I could steer it with my feet. So, does pretty good on the water. All right, now we gotta get all this stuff out of here so I can bring that thing in here. Okay. Woo. Yeah, it's wow. Haha, that's cool. I like it. Oh, does it have a bushing in there? What is going on in there? Almost looks like there's a bushing in there. All right, I need some leverage. Let's see. Less leverage, more leverage. Let's do more leverage. Let's put this right here and see what this does. Push. Oh, I guess that worked really well. Oh, look, it's a camshaft. It looks like a camshaft. Oh my gosh. That is crazy. I actually think I might keep this. It looks like a camshaft. That's awesome. All right. Well, I am like intrigued now that there appears to be like a bushing in there. So see if I could pull this up a little bit, because it looks like a bushing in there of some kind. And I want to see what is the deal with that. All right, looks like there was some type of bushing in here. Wow. Something. I didn't know there was a bushing in there. Pretty much just saw this from pictures. So let's see what we have. Of course, this is a rush job and they need it like back today if possible, but I don't know about that. Today is also a Saturday for a holiday weekend. Of course, let's see what we can come up with here. And he did tell me that they just stopped greasing it, and that's why it failed. You can see the just dust in there. All right, let's see what materials and stuff we have. See what we can make. Okay, so I don't have any like bushing material, but I do have something I think will work. I have this pin that was left over from a different job. It's 2.5 inches, and these bores they're kind of oval shaped, and they're about 2 1/8 to 2 3/16, you know, on the biggest part. I think I'm gonna line everything back up, tack these pieces together, and then just cut it out to 2.5 and just stick a 2.5 inch bar in there, or basically make a 2.5 inch pin and put that in there. I think that's gonna be the fastest way to go. And you know, if we put grease fittings in there for them, and if they grease it, I think it will last a long time. I'm not sure how old this machine is, but I would guess it's 10 or 15 years old. So with grease, I'd imagine it will last at least that long. Okay, let's get this lined up, and let's get set up on it. All right, and I can see we got it tacked together. I've got both sides lined up about as straight as I can get it. We've got a 1 3/4 bar here. Slide this thing in here. Okay, now let's figure out how we're gonna do our bearings. Probably have to do 2 on each end, stabilize everything. So, all right, let's get her set up and get her cut. All right, so we got our bearings all on here now. I decided to add this bar and do the bearings like this. A little tip, if you are going to be adding pillow block bearings like I did here, get your bar or whatever you're using, get that tacked into place really well before your bearings, because if you started like tacking this and the bearings and kind of did that as you moved around, it's more likely to pull and bind the bar. And this bar seems to move really nicely through everything, so everything is nice and aligned. Now we're ready to cut. So we're gonna start on this side. All right, we got this all set here for the first cut. Second cut. We're only gonna be making 2 cuts. Alright, I'm gonna chop that pin down while we're waiting on this. Alright, we got that side cut. Set up, ready to start cutting here. First cut. Trying to get this done same day for them. Well, you can really take a big cut when you got your bearings set up right. That's probably almost a 1/4 inch cut. And a 1 3/4 bar. Pretty good. Hydraulics just don't care. All right, well that's cutting. We're gonna take this side apart. And so I have 2 pins that had this ear on it, and I wanna see if I could utilize this ear. If not, we're gonna do something different. So we're gonna take this off and see if that works at all. Maybe it will work, maybe it won't work. I don't know. All right, so we got that all cleaned up, or not cleaned up. We got the bearings removed, and this side, see, fits nicely. So we're gonna come up with a nice way to mount this pin. I'm thinking we're gonna put it to the inside, like this, and then weld like a threaded bung right there, and a bolt and a washer. Kind of typical pin hold down. And then we're gonna put it in the lathe and drill, tap, put a grease fitting, drill a hole in the center. That way the center gets grease, because that's where it needs it the most. Kind of do the same thing on both sides. Right now it's a little tight on this side. We're gonna buff it out with this thing. Kind of buff it out a little bit, get the pin to fit nice. Then we're going to come through, clean everything up with the Cubitron, cut these tack welds, and then we got to modify a washer to fit in here as a spacer. Yeah, we're close, we're getting there. Perfect, look at that. All right, now we need to yeah, I guess we can cut the tacks now. It's going to move, but we know everything is aligned perfectly because it goes into both sides. So, perfect. All right, almost there. Perfect. All right, so I'm staring at this thing and I'm like, man, I still gotta drill the pins out for grease fittings and everything. I'm looking at it and I looked at the pictures of it installed again, and there's no reason I couldn't just put a grease fitting right here. Way less drilling and it'd be just a lot simpler. So we're just gonna drill and tap right here for our grease fitting. I just think it'll be much simpler, and I actually think it'll be easier to get to when they service it. Of course, we're going to be using anchor lube. And I believe these are Vevor drill bits. I got a Vevor drill bit organizer and it was full of bits, and I'm pretty sure these came from them. Not 100% though. They work really well. If these are Chinese drill bits, they work really well. So we got the pins in. We have some shims here that shims all this nice and tight, makes it stay in alignment. So put the pins in, and then I marked where they go. So basically what we're gonna do is install, weld this threaded piece here like that, and then this will tighten down over it, and it will allow the pin to move around a little bit if it needs to. This is not like an extreme, you know, application like heavy equipment, and I think a grade 8 1/2-inch bolt is more than enough. You know, we'll Loctite it in there and everything. That's definitely more than enough for this situation. All right, so we're gonna rotate the pins. We have them both marked. We're gonna rotate them, weld these bungs on there, shoot some grease in there, and we're pretty much home free. All right, let's get it. Hopefully I can rotate this one. It's very tight. Nice. Okay, this one should rotate a little easier. Perfect. Get a bar here. Just okay, that should be enough. That one's good. All right, let's get the weld. All right, we got those bolts, but I want to make sure that the grease fittings worked before. Oh yeah, that worked really well. Just in case there was an issue. Perfect, look at that. That worked really well. Now if they just do that every week or whatever, it'll be good. And every day probably be even better. Where is that impact? Here we go. What about a 3/4 socket? It's probably over here in this mess. Right there. Right there. Okay. So we're gonna we have a lock washer, and we're gonna put red Loctite on here as well. Imagine if these bolts backed out, it would not be good. So we want to make sure these are stay in there. Perfect. Perfect. Exactly what I want. Excessive on just like that. Lock washer compressed. Loctite is good. Just wipe that off. Okay. I don't think I'm gonna wipe the grease off because I want a visual for everybody to see that. So they can see that it got greased and that there's a grease fitting there. Maybe I'll wipe those off so that they're visible. Maybe I should get like a little tag. It's like grease here. All right, I think we're done. I think we have completed this. So we're done. every time. Air dryer. Every time I try to talk, it decides to relieve itself. Okay, so we're done. We're gonna get on the trailer now, get it back over there. So as of to this point right now, including picking it up, this job has taken me 8 hours. And then take it over there, unload it. That's probably gonna take another hour and a half. So, not too bad. All right, let's see if we can fit it out of here. We might move that table again. All right, we're all loaded and strapped down. We're gonna take the Kenworth to drop it off. They asked if I could use the crane to set it on the loading dock. I guess it was a little bit of a fiasco for them to get this down a walkway or something this morning. So we'll do that for them. All right, well, that's it for this video. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for the next one.